What's up, guys? Casual Yu-Gi-Oh here, doing my Cyberdark deck profile for April 2020. Sorry I haven't uploaded anything in forever. Having issues with my camera, so I'm using my phone, so doing the best we can. Yeah, here we go. Cyberdarks is a deck that I've been playing for since that new support came out, but I was trying to make it at the end of like 2016, early 2017, but uh, it's a deck I really enjoyed. It's gone through a few like new twists, but I just want to like say that like you'll see I'm mixing a huge other archetype into the deck. And by the way, I do apologize for the steadiness of the camera, but I'm doing it with my phone by myself with no stabilizer. So let's start off with the 3 Cyberdark Horn. Horn has piercing damage when he's equipped. That's basically all you need to know. 3 Edge. Edge can attack directly by doing half damage. Really good. He's mostly the one I would go to in a pinch. Basically, he's the one I normally go to. And then Keel. Keel's just basically there for a name and another monster that can summon and then equip. I mean, but he's definitely the worst of the 3. But you still have to have him in there. If he kills something in battle, he does 3 into burn damage. Kind of pointless. The new support cards. Nothing's changed. 3 cannon. You discard it. Search a Cyberdark monster from deck to hand. That's a machine. And then during battle, if this thing's equipped, you can dump a monster from main deck to the grave. Good card. Claw, you could probably say is better. 3 of that. Claw, if it does battle while equipped, you can pitch an extra deck monster from deck to grave. And then also, you could pitch it from hand to search a Cyberdark spell or trap. Really important. And then for the new stuff, I was playing Malefics in here anyway, but when they got new support, the Malefic Paradox Gear. So the Paradox Gear, what it does is if you got a field spell, you can trib it, special summon a Malefic Parallel Gear from deck, and then you can also add a Malefic monster from deck to hand. And then also, if this thing's in your grave, you can banish it to count as the cost for a Malefic monster summoning instead of having to banish something from the main deck or extra deck. Really good. I think this is going to work at 3. I can't like tell you I've play tested playing 3 of this a whole lot, but I think it would work because I was playing Malefics anyway, and this just gives us, I would say, more consistency with that. Yeah, and then let's go with the 3 Malefic Parallel Gear. And obviously, like if you're going to be playing Malefics, I would say you would probably want to see this as soon as possible. I only play 2 Malefic Stardust Dragon because mainly you never want to summon it. Unlike the other Malefic I'm playing, you never want to summon this thing. You just want to use a Synchro Fodder. You can summon it if you want. It can protect your field spell, which, you know, can be helpful in that deck, in this deck, but that's it. And then 3 Malefic Cyberdark Dragons. The reason I play 3 is because you do, more often than not, you do want to see this card because of how powerful it is. And because of the new support that they come out with. But yeah, he's a great card. A 4,000 body that can attack. And then obviously we have ways to make him a lot more effective. I just want to like go in by saying the reason that I mix Malefics with Cyberdarks and the reason why I find that it works and I've never had the urge to change it is because most of the time, what I notice is like, yeah, you can run like low level dragons for your main deck guys to equip, but with your Cyberdark Dragon, which is what you're trying to get out with the deck, you always found that like you never had anything good to go into. Yeah, you can dump shit from your extra deck, but sometimes you don't have the time for that. I just noticed like the deck was so slow that I'm like, I wanted to add some juice to it. So I found Malefics, rely on a field spell. You have a way to search a field spell in the deck, and then because the types of machines and dragons with it, I'm like, really works for the deck. So the last of the monsters, I got 1 Electromagnetic Turtle. For some reason, I've gone in and out with this card. Sometimes it's good. Sometimes you obviously don't want to draw it, but good they could save you, you know, because you can pitch it. And then 1 Ulti Dark-Armed Dragon, my favorite card. It's a beautiful looking card. Yeah, so, I mean, you have graveyard manipulation with this deck, and most of the time, like, within a turn, within your first turn, if you get the Malefic Paradox Gear, that's a Dark-Armed Dragon right there. So, honestly, you could probably play more of this. I probably should look into that now that he's at 3. But, yeah, Dark-Armed. And then for the spell cards, play 3 Malefic Divide. So this is a new card that just got put out, and what it really helps is obviously like, you know, you do your synchro plays, and then obviously you're gonna have a Malefic monster in the graveyard, and then you can just bring it back, and then it can attack because it's affection negated. Yeah, it gets banished during the end phase, but that's not a big deal. But it really helps us push for game, really gives us way more versatility, and because this is a quick play, you can set it, and it gives you a little bit of defense as well. A card that I don't know, like, more machine decks, why you don't do it, like, triple limit removal. Like, I get the whole thing if you're like, well, I don't want to brick, but, like, if you're trying to play a control Cyberdark deck, like, which, why would you? Because, like, I just think that's going to be really hard. Like, don't try to put back row in a deck that it doesn't really fit. And like that's my thing is like if you have the chance to kill somebody, go for it. So like if we're playing Malefics, the Malefic Cyber End, and you're playing like regular your Cyber Dark, I mean your regular Cyber Darks, like being able to double their attack is really nice. And then obviously Malefic Cyber End, we can get them to 8,000 easily. So a card that I just bounced to, or I just moved up to 2. I was just playing 1 initially, and because of the new Malefic support with the Paradox gear requiring a field spell, I want to ensure that I have a field spell more often than not. And plus, if you draw this in your hand, you can just ditch the Claw and instead search the Cyberdark Impact card that you play, which I only play 1 of. But the field spell, it's a good card. It's not great, but it works with what you're trying to do. My main problem, like I've said before, is that I wish Cyberdarks had a way to protect their back row. Because that's honestly the thing that gets popped. Like as soon as your opponent, because they didn't, the protection they gave this card from being popped is if it gets popped, you can search a fusion or polymerization spell and add it to your hand. The problem is it doesn't protect your Cyberdark equips that are equipped to your monsters, so your opponent could just pop those and like that's pretty much it. But yeah, it's a decent card. But yeah, play it at 2 or 1. I don't recommend 3 because it's just not necessary. 1 impact, like I showed. The impact is important to summon the Cyberdark Dragon. This card is probably still expensive because it's a secret rarity of Tactical Evolution, old school. But you really kind of only need 1. You just want to search it once. You would never really want to see multiples of this card because this card does require some setup and it would be dead in your hand most of the time. Field spell, the last field spell that I play, so it's technically 3 field spells that I play. 2 are the same, but Mount of the Bound Creator. This is obviously, we're playing Malefic Cyber End. He's a 10. Your normal synchro play that you would go into with the Stardust gets you into a level 10 monster, and then there's a few other things, but I just find it to be, a good card to have. I mean, like, if I'm able to, do Malefic Cyber End and hit him, I mean, I can do some major damage with that. Let's see here. 1 Dragon's Mirror. I'll go into the monsters that you can make with this, but there's a few different plays you can make with the Dragon's Mirror, but overall it's good because of you being able to dump so many things into your graveyard. 1 Overload Fusion. Once again, I mean, you have your Dark Machine Fusion monsters. You probably should play 1 of this card. I love the ulti. But just in case you want to go into the big fusion, not the regular Cyberdark Dragon, but the other one. Okay, so fusion monsters. So 3 Elder Entity Netis. I used to play this card at like 2, and then when I realized that like you, more often than not, like you do need this card to protect you so many times because the deck doesn't have a whole lot of protection by itself, you run through these pretty fast. Like you always want to dump other things to set up like future plays, but at the end of the day, a lot of times you're just having to protect your own stuff by dumping this. And obviously your opponent hates it because they get frustrated that they can't do battle with your stuff if you have Claw because it's just going to dump Entis, but it's whatever. The 1 Predaplant Chimera Rafflesia, this is obviously to dump and then set up that you're going to search a fusion card, which we have Overload, and actually I think that's the only card we're able to really search with this now. But the other thing I was going to say was I do something else with this card, so this card is important to dump, and I'll show you here in a second. The 1 Cyberdark Dragon, I personally don't, like, I think when people hear, I mean, I'll show you, I still play 1 Cyber Darkness Dragon. I never get Cyber Darkness Dragon out because his requirements are too steep, like 5 Cyberdark effect monsters. If by the time that you've set up where you have that many Cyberdarks in your graveyard for like an Overload Fusion, you probably already lost. And he's not even that, like, if they would have given him more attack, I would have been more incentivized to do it. But the fact that, like, he doesn't do the 100 per every, like, monster in your graveyard like the previous version does. And yeah, he can send an equip to negate, but, like, once again, if you're trying, you already have the Cyberdark Claw for, like, the defense of, like, sending stuff to pop or whatever. This thing, I just don't stop. You're not trying to lock down your opponent and, like, do that kind of protection, really. I don't think. You should just try to, like, go ham and try to kill him. Plus, he's easier to get out. And you have a Cyberdark Impact card that's searchable that you can get him out with. And that's why I think he's better. That's just my personal opinion. A lot of people will say this card's better, but I don't think they play the archetype if they say so, because you never get this thing out. But yeah, Cyber Dark Dragon. So the biggest guys that we can get out in this deck, obviously there's extra deck stuff, but even in the main deck, I mean, like, you can still, like, if Dark Arm went to the graveyard, but more than likely Malefic Stardust Dragon, like if you were only doing main deck stuff, that would still boost this thing up to 3,500, which is good. And then we obviously play the limited removals to buff our stuff even more. I love his artwork. He probably would be in my top 3 favorite artworks of cards ever. Probably favorite cards, yeah. Like I said, Cyber Darkness Dragon. I honestly think about dropping this thing because I literally never play it. I mean, it's an option, but okay. So one of the reasons I play the Dragon's Mirror is this card, Greedy Venom Fusion Dragon. I literally was just looking at cards one day, and I found this card, and I was like, oh, this could actually work. It is a dragon. It's a fusion monster. So it takes a Predaplant, which we got that with the Chimera Rafflesia, and then it takes a level 8 or higher Dark Monster, whose original level is 8 or higher. Well, we put Malefic Stardust into our graveyard all the time. That's an 8. And then obviously you have like Malefic Cyber End Dragon or whatever. And then if you were to dump anything else, possibly from your extra deck, but those are the main things, the Malefic monsters. And that powers this thing up. And then he can do some crazy stuff. Let me read him real fast. Once turn, target a face-up monster on the field. Change that target's attack to 0, and then it has its effects negated, and then this thing's destroyed. Destroy as many monsters on the field as possible, and then banish one level 8 or higher dark monster from your graveyard, especially on this card back. Well, we'll have plenty of that as far as ammunition. This probably isn't the deck they designed this card to be in, but I think it works pretty well. I'm not going to lie. I mean, do I summon this card out a whole lot? No, because I have to draw the Dragon's Mirror for it, but it's a good option to have. It gives purpose to your extra deck. One Cyber End Dragon. This is just to banish for the Malefic play. That's it. One 5-headed dragon. So obviously you can dump this thing to be the highest attack that your Cyberdark dragon could scoop from the graveyard. But on top of that, with Dragon's Mirror, there is a possibility that we can actually play this card. So, and I like that alternate artwork. It looks really cool. Okay, that's the fusions. Synchros, one Stardust Dragon. That's just for your Malefic Stardust to banish. So the Shooting Star Dragon, you actually can get out with the Quasar play, which I'm not going to lie. For some reason, I was unaware that this play existed until today. It's kind of another reason why I wanted to do this profile. So if you send Quasar and then equip Quasar with your Cyber Dark Dragon, if this thing leaves the field, doesn't matter if it was summoned, it'll special summon Shooting Star Dragon. I'm happy because I have a Sylvan deck, and I was literally going to try to put this card back in it, although it's extremely hard to do without Glow-Up Bulb. I'm happy that this card actually gets a purpose. Card effects that it can do, like if your opponent tries to attack, you can just like negate it and then like banish that monster, and then this thing will just come back out at the end phase. You can excavate tuners, and it gains that many attacks times the number of tuners you had. Like, you know, if you only had one tuner revealed out of the top 5 cards, you only get 1 attack out of that. But you're probably not going to get a whole lot of attacks out of that with this deck because you're just using Malefic Parallel Gears as your tuners, and you only run 3. So it is what it is. But 3,300 strong. Then you got this guy, which is your main guy that you're going off of your Malefic Parallel Gear with your Malefic Stardust, 4,000, and he's a dragon, so you can scoop him up for the graveyard. Your 12-star Synchro, if you sync with Malefic Cyber End, if you had to. If you didn't have a field spell, you got Assault Blackwing. He can't be short by card effects, and he's 3,000. And then the last card is Gustav Max for burn damage because you have Malefic Cyber End, and you could Synchro and then kill them for 2,000 burn damage. Anyway, that's the deck profile. Hope you guys like it. If you're okay with my phone being this unshaky, then I'll keep doing these because my camera's down for right now. But anyway, yeah, have a good one.